Dear sisters and brothers, recently we have said goodbye to many outstanding artist figures of culture and science in Poland, including Jan Nowicki. Jan Nowicki, 1939-2022, was an outstanding Polish theater, film, and television actor, teacher, and writer. For over 30 years associated with the Stary Theatre in Krakow. He became famous for nearly 200 roles, including his iconic performance in Wielki Szum. He died suddenly on December 7, 2022 at his home in Krzewento of a heart attack at the age of 83. He was born on November 5, 1939 in Kowal. He studied at the Łódź Film School and graduated from the State Drama School in Krakow in 1964. He made his film debut in 1964, the same year, in The First Day of Freedom, known for his roles in the films Ashes, Nights and Days, Sanatorium under the Klepsydra, Magnat, and Wielki Szum, Great Shout. He was the author of columns and books including Moje psa myśli, My Dog's Thoughts. He died, I said, on December 7, 2022 in Krzewent. In accordance with the artist's wishes, he was cremated in a firefighter's uniform and buried in the cemetery in his hometown of Kowal. Jan Nowicki was awarded the Commander's Cross with Star of the Order of Polonia Restituta. He was also awarded the Gold Medal for Merit to Culture Gloria Artist. I didn't meet John personally, but I remember his guest appearances at the Częstochowa Polytechnic Club from the late 1980s. I'm afraid it wasn't at the Mickiewicz Theatre, but on a rented stage. It could have been something classic, probably November 9. The still young actor stepped out into the audience and, performing his prepared role, walked close to me on an improvised platform. I interpreted this sign, heavenly sign, as encouragement, even solemn approval towards the full realization of my priesthood. I'd like to remind my reader of some of Jan Nowicki's words. We've come to this, or in short, to complete idiocy. I am an actor by chance and passion. This profession chose me, not I chose it. I am not pushing myself into politics for the fame of being famous. You have to think Dostoevsky. He's so wonderful that you don't even have to act. You just have to play your own damned problems. Small towns are a fantastic starting point. There is nothing better than small nest that you have to abandon simply because your imagination, your desire to do something, isn't enough for the space. At some point, if you work well, you have to broaden your horizons. You have to leave small towns and villages when there is no room to fly within the borders. These are places that catapult human talent upwards, forwards. Kujav is my Macondo, my wealth, one I never give up on. It's not a reflection on reality. There, like everywhere else, is probably a tone of rudeness informing and those damned gossips I hate. But it's the place of my birth and death, my cemeteries, my loved ones. So I condemned to laugh, I keep returning to it. I never believed that a man has to father a son, plant a tree, and build a house. On the contrary, for my own benefit, I've come up with the idea that a real man should burn down a house, slap his son, his son and uproot a tree. During my wanderings around the world, I've lost the meaning of the words feel at home. I'm afraid Boniek, Mr. Boniek might go hysterical. The world is becoming increasingly idiotic for a simple reason: to achieve economic success in peacetime and to provide excellent cannon fodder in wartime. Freedom is the fundamental thing a person should strive for. The most important thing is gaining maximum freedom of choice in personal and professional life. I have always strived to be free, losing certain opportunities along the way. I'm also talking about the freedom to express certain opinions. It's utter nonsense that I am a patient at risk of first refusal. It's a complete misunderstanding. This must be reversed. Patients at risk of first refusal are those who have life ahead of them, children, people in the prime of life. You are a patient at risk of first refusal. I, however, am a patient at risk of last refusal. What am I risking? That I might live 3 years longer or shorter. Old age can be very sad, but one thing is certain: we must do everything to make it joyful. I see religion and our church as the greatest, and indeed the greatest, sin of our dividedness. It is the church that should do everything to ensure that we hold hands together. A church that does nothing in this direction and even incites us to hatred will in fact soon be empty. No, churches will be empty. Because God is beautiful, the dream of Him is wonderful. We just need to reselect or get rid of these middlemen altogether. You know, you need to get rid of all that. I wanted to declare that my age is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic because from how I observe the world, from how I observe people's relationship with nature, from how I see the atrocities that are accumulating, not in Poland, not in Europe, but all over the world, I really think that his last breath can only be associated with a sense of relief. When Piotr Skrzynecki died, I wrote him letters for 4.5 years in Przekrój magazine, and Mr. Piotr wrote back from heaven. I wanted to ease the longing and somehow keep him alive. I still miss him, and my memory of him is still vivid. Sometimes I wonder how Mr. Piotr would have reacted in a given situation, what he would have said to me. I've been considering talking to you. Generally, I consider the press to be a piece of cake. Our conversation is completely pointless because you'll do whatever you want with it. For example, you'll spark some non-existent conflict. I learned from the local press that I'm in a quarrel with director M. That I've put on a performance that tests the intellectual endurance of the people of Płotsk. Are the people of Płotsk really incapable of understanding a simple song? We live in cowardly times where few people dare to express their own opinions. I'm always trying to be myself. Just because I say someone is a jerk doesn't mean I'm provoking or harming anyone. I just want to save the world from idiocy. At least in that small part I can influence. I never provoked anyone for the sake of provocation in my life. Beloved, the Lord speaks quietly within each of us. Taking the farmer an example, the Lord says, when a farmer tills his field, fertilizes it, then prepares the ground with the plow, scatters with grains in the furrows, and then furrows them and covers them, then he has nothing more to do until the harvest. Now he asks, Is the harvest solely the farmer's merit and work, or is it not entirely my work and work? For who created for him that strong pair of oxen to plough? Who gave him the wood and iron? Who the wheat grain with its living germ? Who placed in countless new germs and grains? Whose was the light of the sun that warms and gives life to all? Who sent the abundant dew and the abundant rain? Who gave prosperity to the blades of grain that grew and matured? And who ultimately gave the farmer himself life, strength, senses, reason, and intelligence? If we now reflect more deeply on this image, it becomes clear how little in the cultivation of the land can be attributed to the farmer as his labor and merit, and this applies to all other professions, both men and women, in every sector. If we consider this carefully, little remains for the farmer, yet he believes he can say, "See, I owe all this to my diligence," but in saying this, he completely ignores the one who was the sole principal laborer in the wheat field. Should he not rather say and confess in his heart, "Lord, you great, good and holy Father, I thank you for such great care, because all this was, is, and always will be your work alone, while I, in this work, was a lazy and utterly useless servant, whose primary element is this." Then the answer lies in the truth of each of us. Beloved ones, the Israel-Iranian conflict has escalated further, forcing families to flee. Over a million people in Lebanon have been forced to flee in just 2 weeks. I was watching television of today and I saw this drama. Families have fled with little they can carry, spending the night in tents. Aid teams are providing life-saving support, but the needs are growing rapidly. Please help today. God is with me, I believe, but I have a request for you who are passing through this land now. If I leave without having the chance to say goodbye, my children, please don't think it's because I didn't want to. There is no world in which I would choose to leave you without a last embrace. If my voice suddenly fades, know that my heart still called your names. I would hold your faces once more, remember your smiles, and tell you how proud I am. If I leave before I can whisper goodbye, remember this: I loved you with all my heart. I stayed as long as I could, and not saying goodbye to each other would be the hardest part of parting with you. We'll see from the James Webb Telescope and even from the even better Magellan Telescope, which is being prepared, only the past of the universe. I firmly believe that the present universe is the most beautiful world and still has much to discover. Meanwhile, we are still to create the truly human future. I don't want you to stop at nothing. You are to grow strong, rooted in strong roots. Every end is the beginning of the something new. Farewells are difficult, but they create space for new opportunities. Thanks for everything. Remember that you could always count on me. Good luck. May your professional path be like a highway, no traffic jams, always to the destinations. It was a huge contribution to the development of our church. Professionalism and reliability. I wish you further spectacular professional successes. Thank you for your exemplary attitude and fond memories. I wish you success in your future challenges. You are going out into the world, leaving me in the grayness of the office. I will miss your jokes and smiles. I wish you, brother and sister, May your next job be a pleasure, not just a chore. Good luck. Spread your wings and conquer new heights. Remember, you always have a friend in me. Postscriptum. Mr. Daniel Olbrychski expects a new column from me about his immortal roles. I wish I could get it done in time.